Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at Ableton session view. So let's jump on into Ableton and check it out. Okay, so I'm going to start off by showing you how the session view works. And I'm guilty of never showing the session view. I never work in the session view, and that's wrong of me because it is very powerful and very intuitive way of making music that's a little bit outside of the box that I usually put myself in when I'm always using the arrangement view. So to start off with, you can see that we're dealing with our channels vertically, and we've got what they call clip slots. And if I double click on a MIDI clip slot, it's going to drop in a MIDI clip for me to put information inside of. If I double click on an audio clip, it's not going to do anything because I need to grab the audio, drag it, and drop it onto the clip. Right? I need to place the audio on the channel in order to have it in there. But with MIDI, yeah, we can go ahead and draw whatever we want in. We can grab an instrument and chuck it on top of that channel so that those MIDI notes will make the instrument make sound. Straightforward. And we can move the clips around by just clicking and dragging them. We can delete them by pressing delete. And we can play them by pressing the play button. All right. And I can stop it by pressing the stop button down here. That's going to stop anything playing on that channel. Or I can press the stop over here, which stops everything playing. And if I've got all of these on the same scene, right? So I've got scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and in this case, they're all on scene 2. I can press the play button on scene 2, and they all start playing. Press stop, stop everything. And that's all being quantized to 1 bar, right? So Ableton is counting time here. So if I press play, it's not going to actually start playing until the end of 1 bar period of time. So when it's ticking over to a high number, that's the beginning of the next bar, 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 so on and so forth, right? So if I press it somewhere in between, it's going to wait until it flicks over and then it's going to start. And that's just going to keep everything rigidly in time, and that's called quantization. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. So we'll just make the exact same thing as what I've made, but I'll delete all the clips. So double click to make a new clip. And then I double click on the piano roll to put a note in. Remembering if I want to remove the note, I can click on it and press delete. If I want to move it, I can click it and I can drag it, or I can use the arrow keys to move it around, up, down, left and right, all over the place. And that's all going to snap to the grid that I set here, right? So if I want 16 bar increments, I've got 16 bar grid. If I want 32, smaller increments. If I want larger increments, right, 1 bar. So right click, 16th notes, and we want kick. So I just went Control D to duplicate that. I selected it. Control D, I just wanted to make another one. I want to go kick, and then I want kick. How does that sound? Kick. Yeah. Great. So I'm happy with that. That's my kick pattern. Note we're making this pattern over 1 bar of musical time. It's just a 1 bar long pattern. Now, let's say I want to make 4 bars. All right, cool. No worries. Come down here. I want the length of this clip to now be 4 bars long. I type 4 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars of music. And we've got the start point of the clip. And we can move the end point as well if we want. So the end point is indicated here, all right? There we go. We've got the start set at 1, 1. We've got the end set at 5. We've got the loop position starting at the first position, and we got the length of the loop 4 bars long. That's how we read all those numbers there. We select all of that area, Control D to duplicate. And what we might do is we might drop the kick out from that one. We copy and paste this, start of the beginning bar, right? We've got another clip, and then the final clip, we'll paste that again, but we're going to put another kick in there, right? So we've got a changing pattern, and we're doing the 1. So pattern, let's say this first bar of music is pattern A. Second bar of music is pattern B. Third bar of music is pattern A repeated. First one. And then pattern 4 is a random different variation. So we're using that to increase our musical complexity. Next, we've got the snare. And I can go straight away and set this to 4 bars long as well. And if I want to, I can click on this clip, I can hold shift, I can click on that clip, and I can view them both at the same time. So let's find where I've placed the kick. Where is the kick? There's the kick. Right, and I want to control this where the snare is placed. So I want to put a snare on the third bar. The third beat of the first bar. And I'm going to do the same again here. And maybe we'll go ahead and we'll pop another snare there. We'll just have a listen and see whether it works, right? So pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 1. And then here we got pattern 3. And we'll go one there and maybe we'll go one there. And we'll just see or listen to how it sounds. So let's play it. And why is that snare not playing? Because I did not put the MIDI information on the snare. I've just drawn in a note. I actually need to put it on the sample I want it to activate. It's a pretty tinny little snare, but we'll have a listen to it. Right, maybe that last one's a bit rapid, so I might just move it back a little. And that's going to be fine, right? There's a little bit of variation in the pattern. It's not quite structured in the same way that this was, but that's not a worry. So that's how we would manipulate MIDI and MIDI clips. And remembering we could make, this could be pattern 1, and then we could actually copy it, paste it down here, and call this pattern 2. And then we could come in here and we could say, all right, so drop that one and drop that one, and then that's pattern 2. We could do the same here. So we've got pattern 2, pattern 1, and we could do the exact same thing. We could come in here, or we could go, maybe it needs like mini snares and a little bit of volume automation, velocity automation at the end of that one, right? So we've just made a little variation. Right, it doesn't work, but just take that as an example. So moving along, we will go ahead and chuck some audio in here and start manipulating it. So I've got this guy and this guy. So I'll grab that one first, drag and drop it. Now, this has come into the project unwarped. Let's drag and drop the other one. This has come into the project warped, right? And I happen to know that this is actually a dubstep sample, so it's at 140 BPM, so I'm just going to go warp, and it actually already knows that it's 140, so we're good to go. So here what we're dealing with is start and end length of an audio clip. We don't have anything looped right now at this point in time. And we might go ahead straight away and set the end to, we want the clip to end at the beginning of the third bar, right? So that means that it's exactly 2 bars of music, because the beginning or the end point is right at the beginning of what would be a next bar if it were to continue. So here we are looking at a warped piece of audio, and we can see that there's only one warp marker. If we were to drop another warp marker in here, say like there, and I grab this one, I'm squishing it, I'm pulling it short, right? I don't want to do that. I actually don't want to manipulate the sample. I don't want to speed it up. So get rid of that. I just want one where the sample starts, and I can actually just move it around and place it wherever I'd want it to begin, which is right there. I want it to start on the beginning of the second beat of the first bar. Happy days. And now we are going to go ahead and select loop, and I want to set the loop to be exactly 2 bars long. And I can't do that properly, so I just will take some assistance. And see, I've got this dead area out here. If I want to get rid of that, I can right click and go crop, and it just gets rid of it. So that's sitting nicely. And if I play all of these on scene 4 together, that plays exactly where I want it to play. And it's looping. So now I want to grab the second version, and which is a slight variation of the a similar sort of sound. And I want to just take the length of it, and I just want it to be at the beginning of the third bar, right? So now if I grab this and move it, did you notice anything? Do you notice anything at all? It's getting squished short. And that's because there's a loop marker right at the end. And I don't want that, right? So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put it at the beginning of the second beat on the second bar. And if I right click, crop that, now we're just looking at what we're dealing with. And you know, I can come in here and make micro edits to this if I really wanted to. So if I wanted to put that over there and that over there, you know, I can move the audio sample around by the warping. But in this case, I'm at 140 BPM. I know this is 140 BPM. Everything's straightforward, and we're not really talking about warping audio in this video. I've got other videos that cover that. So now if I press play on all of these together, they're all looping and everything's playing exactly when I want it in time. Perfect. So we've started building a little arrangement, so to speak, using the session view. And we're using the scenes to trigger different parts of the arrangement, right? So this could be, and we can come over here and we can actually rename this. This could be our intro. So this could be all of the elements of our intro. And just to make it a little bit more complex, I'll come in here and I'm going to make this 16 bars long, right? And I'm going to go ahead and draw a 1 bar note, and I'm going to draw a note of G, and I'm going to put it on the last bar of that 8 bar period, right? So I'm going to put it on bar 8, and it's going to play as a sort of transitionary sound for when the next bar plays. And then just to go a little bit more complex again, we'll delete that actually. We'll go right click and we'll drop that in there. Let's go ahead and get let's just get a ride that's going to indicate the beginning of a bar as well. So I'm going to go ahead and set the length of this to also be 16 bars. I'm going to get rid of that at the end. I'm going to click this and I'm going to drag it. I'm going to get it to start on the beginning of the 9th bar or the end of the 8th bar, right? And we can move that. We can make sure, we could trigger this as a one shot. So we could deactivate the loop, it would just play once and then it would stop, or we could have it loop, right? In this case, I'll just let it loop. And here, let's just quickly select a sound. So we'll come into our instruments. We're going to go, let's just go pad. I mean, this is going to sound silly, but we'll just quickly, yeah, that's just for the sake of the example. And this is all of the elements that I want in my intro, right? So I press play and I'm waiting, right? I'm waiting for things to happen, because if I click on this, if I double click it, now we can see the clip. And I know that this is not going to start triggering until we get to it. So here we go. What a great intro. So once that gets to the end, once we're on the 16th bar, I'll trigger the next part of the track, let's say. Right, let's go. So this could be like the first verse. And we can name everything just to keep it like, organized. And this is how I would start sort of building a track that's somewhat loosely arranged, but it's not in the arrangement view. And then if I were to make both of these worlds collide, I can show you how you can play what you have here into the arrangement view. So you can actually jam out an idea. Let's say we want to trigger this, and then we're going to go like that, and then we're going to go, okay, then the snare, and then like this. And we want to actually just like, we've set up a bunch of instruments that all play really nicely together, but maybe we just want to improvise actually what comes first and how they're played. If I've got a controller, like the AKAI APC 40, or the Ableton push, I can use the push or the AKAI to trigger the clips and play them, and I can use this as an instrument to control what's happening inside of Ableton. So I can start playing in my arrangement. What does that mean? It means you've gone from an electronic music producer to an electronic music producer who's playing their song into the door. You've gone and arranged all your instruments. You've got everything really nicely set up, and now you can actually play the track from start to finish. This can be extremely helpful as well if you want to then take what you're making onto a stage, because you've already played around playing it. You've practiced your performance Now you can go and put it on stage and perform. So how do we do that? How do we play this into the arrangement view? Well, we hit record and then we trigger what we want. We don't, and by the way, this does not, you do not need to arm any clips or anything. You just press record. We say, all right, I want that. And then after the end of this pattern, right, now the snare's going to come in. And once that's finished, I'm going to just hit trigger all of this stuff. And I don't know whether we really want to wait 8 bars, but this is kind of like the principle of the idea, right? So we'll just wait until the end of this bar and then I'll just trigger the first verse. Right, here we go. Second verse, first verse, whatever. We're playing our amazing song. And then I'm going to pause everything right about now. And then I'm going to press stop up here. And then I'm going to press tab on my keyboard to go to the arrangement view. And here we have a quantized track that we've recorded into Ableton Live. And I can play back exactly what I just did. Right, I can skip through it. And now I can make fine-tuned final adjustments for how this track should be as a perfect arrangement. So we've got an ability to play around with ideas, set up ideas, do things very interesting, and then play them in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over into one of my own personal music projects, and I'm going to show you how I've used it recently. Okay, so here I am with my own project in front of us, and I haven't set this up nice and tidy like I should have, with like intro, chorus, verse, all that sort of thing. But I'm going to give you a little idea of how I would sort of jam this out, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and activate my pads. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, count myself in, and let's start. I'm going to wait until the end of that bar. And then I'm going to, and now I'll bring in this pad. Here we go, nice. I'm going to bring in the this next pluck now. And I'm just waiting musically for when I think it should come in. And after, and I'll activate the kick too. I'm going to just place this kick texture over top of the kick at a second as well. Just waiting for the right moment. Remembering that I'm quantized. I'm going to let it in now. And it would be great if I could actually use the APC, because then I could trigger multiple things like at once and be able to do a bit more. With the mouse, I'm a bit limited, but that's the way I've chosen to do it. So I'm going to get these hats to come in. Just going to play that a little bit. Play it a bit more. I think this bass is actually better. I'll swap over to this one. Yeah. Cool. Play it one more time. And then what we could do, you ready? I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to go, oh, I missed it. I was trying to trigger both the kick and the bass at the same time. Cool, so now we've got our rolling pattern going. Let's bring in some hats. Bring this guy in too. need to bring in my snare, but we'll just wait a second. Okay. I'll bring the snare in, and I'll try and bring this lead in. Ready, snare, let's do it. Snare, and then this. Just bring the volume up for that. Cool, and let's chuck in another element. So just wait to the end of 4 bars, and then we'll start that. Got a nice sort of melodic riff that I'll play a little bit later here, so cool. I've just added 2 more elements. Great. So there's a little example of how I'm using it. And I'm a bit of an amateur with using the session view, admittedly. And I've just started to do this. And I really want to start feeling my music a little bit more. So that's really why I'm doing it. I want to feel like I'm playing it and feel like I'm putting my emotion into it. And that's something that you do lack a little bit as an electronic music producer. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little sort of quick introduction to what you can do with the session view. If you want to see more content related to it, let me know in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in another video.